What if one family dinner could quietly decide the future of a love story? Ly Tu Anh never expected that a single evening at CEO Tung's home would change everything between them. What began as a nervous first meeting with his mother slowly turned into a moment of unexpected acceptance, emotional understanding, and life-changing approval. From careful first impressions to heartfelt conversations and a powerful family blessing, every moment unfolded with growing warmth and sincerity. This is the story of how doubt turned into trust, and how a mother's decision opened the door for two hearts to finally move toward a future together as one. After the emotional and slightly tense day of meeting CEO Tung's family, Ly Tu Anh never expected that everything would unfold so gently and beautifully. From the very first moment she stepped into his home, her heart had been beating fast, not out of fear alone, but because she deeply cared about the impression she would leave. The house was warm, filled with a quiet elegance that reflected a close-knit family. Yet, despite the welcoming atmosphere, she could still feel the silent weight of expectation from CEO Tung's mother, a woman known for her strong personality and careful judgment. Ly Tu Anh tried her best to remain calm and composed. She carefully chose her words, spoke softly, and showed respect in every small gesture, from the way she greeted everyone, to how she helped with simple things around the table. She was not trying to impress anyone in an artificial way. Instead, she allowed her true self to be seen. Kindness, sincerity, and quiet confidence naturally flowed through her actions. CEO Tung noticed it too. Several times, his eyes met hers across the table, carrying a sense of reassurance, as if silently telling her that she was doing just fine. During the meal, conversations slowly began to loosen. At first, the topics were formal and polite: work, family background, and general life questions. Ly Tu Anh answered honestly but humbly, never exaggerating her achievements. What truly made the difference was not what she said, but how she made others feel. There was a softness in her voice that made people feel comfortable, and a sincerity that could not be faked. Even small moments, like her gentle smile when she listened carefully or the way she expressed gratitude for the food, gradually began to soften the atmosphere. CEO Tung's mother, who initially observed her with quiet scrutiny, started to show subtle changes in her expression. The firm line of her lips softened, and her gaze became warmer. She noticed how Ly Tu Anh never tried to compete for attention, nor did she act overly nervous. Instead, she carried herself with a calm dignity that felt rare and genuine. It reminded her of values she deeply respected: respect, honesty, and emotional stability. As the evening went on, something invisible shifted in the room. The distance between them slowly faded, replaced by a sense of understanding. Ly Tu Anh, though still slightly nervous inside, began to feel a quiet hope blooming in her heart. She could sense that she was no longer being judged harshly, but rather being understood. By the time the meal was nearing its end, the atmosphere had transformed completely. What started as a formal, cautious meeting had become a warm and meaningful family gathering. Without anyone saying it directly, a silent acceptance was beginning to take shape, one that would later change the course of their relationship forever. After the dinner had ended and the dishes were quietly cleared away, Ly Tu Anh still felt the lingering tension in her chest, though it had softened compared to the beginning of the evening. She thought the hardest part was already over, yet she did not expect that CEO Tung's mother would gently invite both of them to stay a little longer in the living room. The atmosphere had shifted into something more intimate and serious, as if an important decision was quietly waiting to be spoken aloud. Sitting across from them, CEO Tung's mother looked at Ly Tu Anh with a calm but deeply observant gaze. There was no longer the strict distance she had shown at the beginning of the evening. Instead, there was a sense of thoughtful reflection, as if she had already made up her mind but wanted to confirm her feelings one last time. Ly Tu Anh sat politely, hands gently placed together, trying to steady her emotions. CEO Tung stayed beside her, his presence quietly reassuring, though even he seemed slightly more serious now, sensing that this moment carried meaning beyond a simple family conversation. After a brief silence, his mother finally spoke. Her voice was calm, but firm in a way that carried sincerity rather than authority. She said that during the entire evening, she had been observing not only Ly Tu Anh's words but also her heart. What impressed her most was not perfection, but authenticity. She appreciated how Ly Tu Anh never tried to pretend or overstate herself. Instead, she showed respect, patience, and genuine care for those around her, especially for CEO Tung. The mother admitted that in today's world, such sincerity was rare and valuable. As she continued speaking, her expression softened even more. She explained that as a mother, her greatest wish was not wealth or status for her son, but happiness and emotional stability. She had seen many people come and go in Tung's life, but something about Ly Tu Anh felt different. There was a quiet strength in her personality, a gentle warmth that did not demand attention but naturally earned trust. The way she looked at Tung also did not escape her notice. There was sincerity, care, and a kind of patience that could support a long-lasting relationship. CEO Tung's mother then turned directly to Ly Tu Anh and spoke more personally. She said that she was truly satisfied with her and, from her heart, she supported the relationship between them. These words, though simple, carried enormous emotional weight. Ly Tu Anh felt her breath slightly tremble, her heart filling with a mix of relief, gratitude, and disbelief. She had feared rejection, yet instead, she was receiving acceptance, something she deeply wished for but did not dare to fully expect. CEO Tung also seemed momentarily silent, absorbing his mother's words. There was a rare softness in his expression, as if a long-standing worry had finally been lifted. In that quiet moment, the living room no longer felt like a place of judgment, but rather a space where understanding had been born. The mother's approval was not just a formal acceptance, it was a heartfelt acknowledgement that began to reshape the future of their relationship in a meaningful way. In the quiet that followed his mother's heartfelt words, the room seemed to hold its breath. For a few seconds, no one spoke. Ly Tu Anh could feel her emotions rising in waves she could no longer hide: relief, joy, disbelief, and something deeper that felt like gratitude for finally being understood. CEO Tung gently reached for her hand beside him, not in a showy gesture, but in a quiet, steady way that made her feel grounded. His touch carried everything he could not easily put into words. His mother, noticing their silent connection, let out a soft, knowing smile. There was no more hesitation in her expression now. The decision in her heart had already been made. She leaned back slightly and spoke again, this time with a warmer tone, one that felt less like approval and more like blessing. She said that life was short and unpredictable, and when two people truly understood and cared for each other, it was something worth protecting rather than questioning. She added that she did not want unnecessary delays or doubts to stand between them. Then, looking directly at both of them, she expressed her wish clearly and sincerely. She hoped they would not only continue their relationship, but also build a future together as a married couple. Her words were not rushed, nor were they casual. They carried the weight of a mother's deepest hope for her son's happiness. In that moment, the atmosphere shifted once again, but this time into something even more meaningful, something that felt like the beginning of a new chapter. Ly Tu Anh felt her eyes grow slightly misty. She had imagined many possible outcomes for this day, but never one this gentle, this accepting. She lowered her gaze for a moment, trying to steady her emotions, before softly nodding in gratitude. Her heart was overwhelmed, not only by acceptance, but by the feeling of being truly welcomed into someone's life. Beside her, CEO Tung also appeared deeply moved. The usually composed and confident man now carried a rare softness in his eyes, as if even he was still processing the significance of what had just been said. He turned slightly toward Ly Tu Anh and squeezed her hand gently, as though silently promising her something without words. In that small gesture, there was certainty, commitment, and a quiet strength that no longer needed approval to exist. It only needed understanding, which they had finally received. The evening slowly began to wind down after that, but nothing felt the same anymore. What started as a cautious family meeting had transformed into a moment of emotional acceptance and future promise. As Ly Tu Anh and CEO Tung prepared to leave, the warmth of the house felt different now, no longer like a place of evaluation, but like a place of belonging. Outside, the night air was calm and still, yet inside both of their hearts, something had undeniably changed. It was not just approval they had gained that day, but a blessing that gently pushed their love toward a shared future, one they would no longer walk alone.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Ly Tu Anh Review. Vậy là câu chuyện của chúng ta ngày hôm nay đã kết thúc tại đây. Nội dung câu chuyện hôm nay của chúng ta thì đã kể về việc đó chính là Ly Tu Anh đã về thăm gia đình của CEO Tung và đã có buổi ra mắt với mẹ của CEO Tung. Thì trong buổi ra mắt đó thì mẹ của CEO Tung rất là ưng ý Tú Anh và cũng rất là vui, và bà chúc phúc cho Tú Anh và Tùng sẽ mãi hạnh phúc và mong sao hai người sẽ sớm tổ chức đám cưới, vì đó là tâm nguyện của bà. Các bạn hãy đón xem các tập tiếp theo của kênh Ly Tu Anh Review nhé. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều đã luôn theo dõi và ủng hộ Tú Anh và Tùng. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại các bạn vào các tập tiếp theo nha. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.